Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and I wanted to do another Art Reads video. And this is a book I picked up from my local library. It is Botanical Art Techniques. This is a 2020 publication, and this is by the American Society of Botanical Artists. So a bunch of people worked on this book together. I apologize, my cats want to add to the video. So this book is amazing, and it is thick. It is almost 400 pages. I'm not going to show you every single page, but I did want to give you kind of a breakdown of what is gone over. So they go over colored pencil, watercolor on paper, sort of applied tutorials, advanced tutorials, watercolor on vellum. There are specialized techniques and composition. So I would say that this book is very much for folks interested in illustration as it pertains to botanicals, obviously, but I would say more sort of mid-level to advanced illustrators. Now, there is no reason why a beginning illustrator cannot pick up this book and still gain and glean some knowledge from it, but they are very advanced sort of illustration techniques. And I feel like if you are unfamiliar with form and value and line and sort of, it has very broad strokes with shading and some of those principles. So if you are just learning how to draw, this would be a great book sort of for a long-term goal, if botanicals are something you are genuinely interested in. I would say that practice. They do have sort of fruit and vegetables in here with the botanicals, which I think is a wonderful add. If you live in an apartment, you don't own a garden, you don't have houseplants, maybe you don't have the greenest thumb, drawing and sketching and painting the groceries you buy, the fruits and vegetables you buy, is a great way to practice illustrating. Absolutely. So there are pine cones, there are leaves, there are all kinds of things. Again, this isn't like every single step. It would be really hard to photograph every single step in a illustration of this magnitude, but they do a really good job. This is very thoughtfully put together. It's very advanced. This isn't beginning stuff, but I think it's very inspiring. Absolutely, if scientific illustration is where you want to go in your art or design career, this is absolutely phenomenal. These type of illustrations take hours and hours and hours. So just keep that in mind when you see these. This isn't a thing where somebody sits down and they're like, ooh, half an hour later, look what I have. That's not what this is. These are beautiful. And tons of companies and textbooks and garden companies hire illustrators all the time to draw the seeds and plants that they put on like their seed packets or in their books. This is absolutely beautiful. So here we move into color. And they have different sort of shading techniques. Again, my cats say hi. Oh, yeah. I was waiting till the neighbors calmed down, but then the cats riled up. So here's a gourd. You're doing a winter squash, shallot. Maybe you're making soup. It's an excuse to draw all your groceries, really. And these are absolutely beautiful illustrations. They're very beautiful. They're very professional level illustrations. This is the echelon. This is the end goal if you want to get into drawing plants. Like, absolutely beautiful picture of kiwis growing on the vine. And again, this is almost 400 pages. They have some other like mediums in the back if you're interested in silver point or sort of printing. There's transferring. The vellum's really interesting. I don't typically draw or paint on vellum, but I think that's really interesting they included that here. Like, that's a beautiful red delicious apple. with detail and descriptions. It would be nice if there were a couple accompanying videos with a book of this magnitude, just for folks that need to see it broken down, like every single step. But I get that that's a lot. Like, here's the original leaf, here's their illustration. It's very similar. From where I sit, this is a little bit bluer, but this is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. Branches, stems. Roses have prickles. Hardly any rose has an actual thorn. If you're really interested in the minutia of plants and botany, like a watermelon is a berry, squash is a fruit. They drew their grapes. That's absolutely beautiful. There's the finished. And then they have some of the steps and some of the things they're showing. This is step 20. I don't know how you would do an illustration and divide it into steps. I'm not a teacher in that way at all. But they did such a beautiful job with all these different demonstrations and things. That's beautiful. There's a finished illustration. Watercolor washes. It keeps going. This is a tulip magnolia. For those of you interested in magnolias, this is absolutely beautiful. I love those colors together. Here's a tomato. And for anybody interested in entomology, incorporating insects into sort of botanics is a nice touch. And anybody interested in mycology, I have a whole sketchbook tour that's nothing but mushrooms. I'll link that one. I'll link my insect one. I did all those in colored pencil. It's much easier for me personally to use a pencil with fine detail hyper-realism than it is for watercolor, and it's probably just because I'm not that good at watercolor. Watercolor is a lot of drawing in layers, and I don't have the heat for that. And they're doing leaf rubbings to sort of get the whole general shape. That's a smart way. There's a persimmon. There's an eating persimmon, and there's a cooking persimmon. It's a great way to sort of, if you want to get into culinary, doing botanicals. That could be a lot of fun. Leaf rubbings and things like that. That is a fun beetle. Cherry blossom. It's a lot. It's a very beautiful book. Like, a lot of time and care and thoughtfulness went into the making of this book. It's so much work. This could have taken over a year easily to put this book together. Egg tempera, gouache. They compare it. I mean, that's wonderful. They have etching techniques. If you're interested in that style of art, if you want to do screen prints, things like this. Polymer plate etchings. That's very specialized. I think that's just stunning. Here's some lichen on a branch. And this is a stitched bound book. You can see some of the stitches. So this is not glued in. Book has a huge heft weight to it. The pages were glued in, they would pop out within a year. Absolutely. So I'm glad it's bound very, very well, very strong. Here's Silver Point. Silver Point, I have talked about that before. If, sort of crushed bone doesn't bother you in art, then maybe look at Silver Point, but a lot of people have trouble with that portion. There's painting in oil. I mean, they really try to include some things, principles and approaches. So, man, I would say that this book it's everything. That looks like an orchid. That's beautiful. And they have some basic sort of glossary things in here talking about different stuff. I mean, here's an iris. You could do a whole thing just on one type of flower. There's so many irises, like Siberian iris and things within. You could do carnivorous plants. Those are a lot of fun to draw and illustrate. That's a pumpkin. That's beautiful. This book is amazing. There's some bamboo. I love the leaves. I love the leaves. There's a lot of value with the shadow and the light. And then you have the contrasting color of the red and the green. Those colors really make each other pop. It's very, very beautiful. This book is stunning. Thank you, library, for getting it. It is beautiful. Here is the back of the book. I hope this was interesting. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Look how thick that is. Bye.